Hey you guys, it's Rachel here with Sensatempo Cane Corso. And we've got some play going on between our little training puppy Rasta and Velocity. Midnight just wants to dominate him. Blondie's been dominating him, but in a much more, I would even go so far as to say effective manner, because Midnight's all about the brute force, whereas Blondie's all about the mental and the persistence. She's like patient. She doesn't get mad. She just is, persistent. She doesn't stop. She's like, you will submit eventually. That's what I try to do. I try, because if you get emotional, then it freaks the dog out, and then it's harder to, like, earlier whenever he was crying. What you guys didn't get to see was I had been doing a prior training session with this puppy at the owner's home. And then I went over there to help them. They said everything had been better but the leash training. So I was like, all right, that's cool. I'll just go over there and I'll help him with the leash training. So, Midnight. So, see, look. He'll get corrected for that if he's not careful. See, he got off. Good boy. Good boy. So he's learning boundaries because Velocity corrected him the last time when he jumped on top of her. And so anyway, so I went over there to do some leash training with him, and sure enough, he did what he had done with the owners, which is he would start rearing up on his leash, start crying really loud, kind of like what he was doing here, but even worse. Flopping on the ground, trying to bite the leash. If like if I go to kind of grab him and move him over to me and put him in a sitting position to make him kind of quit freaking out, then he'd try to bite my hands, and he was just a complete mess. And unfortunately, the neighbors, it's a very small, like not small community, but it's a very tight-knit community. And they all came out, and it was just, he was creating a big scene. And so, and that's what the owners had said, is that he does that. And so they immediately are afraid of being considered like abusive or something, because they're not. They're just trying to walk him. But he's throwing a tantrum. And so they would just pick him up and take him inside, which is exactly what I did. I picked him up, I took him inside, and I was like, all right. I was like, I can train him, but not here. Because, a dog like this will really benefit from what you guys saw, which is being around another dog that is a dominant dog, that will help them know how to respond to the stressful situation. And so he can get freaked out, he can get stressed out, but then he's going to look around to see what to do. And when he has nothing there, then he just does what a puppy does that has already learned to throw a tantrum, which is just throw an even worse tantrum. But whenever Preacher was around, he initially went back to old habits. He tried to do a screaming thing, but then after that, he quickly got out of it. And then, psst, you guys, and then he just learned and began to walk appropriately, which is awesome. Like he learned and was able to move forward. And we'll do it again tomorrow, and even maybe twice in a day, and he will get even better at walking on a leash and being respectful. And as you can see here, he's learning to be respectful within the pack, and he will go back to them a much more balanced and knowledgeable dog. Now, does it still mean that they're going to have to put in their work? Of course they are, and they know that. I had them, my homework for them was to watch the documentary called Living with Wolves. I know that a lot of people who are my avid watchers, they know that I've spoken about this documentary before. I really think that if you want to truly quiet down, you guys, get down here now. That if you really want to understand, dog psychology and how they interact in the roles of all the individuals, like, really understand the role of the omega, all these, what would I call them, like pack positions are important and necessary for the pack to run smoothly. So you get to see those dynamics working themselves out in a very thorough way that that would probably never be possible under truly wild circumstances. So, it's something that I always suggest to people as far as anytime that they're having an issue of, I always tell them, like, do a character study of the wolf by the name of Kamatz. He was the alpha wolf, and he was out of the second batch of wolves that they introduced into the study. And so he was younger than the first batch of wolves, and yet he was alpha from the start. And it just goes to show that alpha has nothing to do with age, it has everything to do with energy. And so, no. And so if you watch him, you will see that he matures into a very calm and benevolent leader that is firm and acts without hesitation, and yet can even be kind. And I think that if you do a character study of that animal, the way that an actor would for a position in a movie, as far as doing a character study of a real person, I do believe that you can really learn how to emulate the alpha energy in your home so that you can best communicate and know the intensity and the level of communication that you have to have with your pup, because I really think that it's just a very in-depth and very solid documentary, and I highly suggest buying the DVD. There are 2 DVDs in it, and they are different, and they both offer some of the same information, but also some other information that I think is invaluable. So it's one of those things where I would even suggest watching it multiple times to really thoroughly understand it. Yes, I see you. You're rolling onto my feet. Yeah, he's super dramatic today. He's very needy today. He's like, ma'am. So anyway, so it's just, for me, it's like so many people don't understand how they should be, and Kamatz is how you should be. You should be what has, if you want to know what works, then you've got to look into nature and see what works. What do animals naturally favor? And you will find that alphas always have very similar characteristics, personality characteristics. And so, especially good alphas, because there's, we're talking about the ones that are actually in charge, not just a dog that you think is alpha in temperament. I'm talking like actually watching a documentary and seeing which animals are in charge, or even like, for example, being on my channel and watching the dynamics between my animals. And you will really get a very good view, which is why I would say that, like, Midnight it reminds me a lot of Kamatz, in the sense that she's very alpha, but doesn't have to like constantly enforce it. Like, she's not a fanatic. Whereas like Kashmir is a straight dictator. Yeah, she's like rules with an iron fist. You know what I mean? And that is always necessary for an alpha. You do have to be able to do that. But like, Kashmir really hardly has an in-between. You know what I mean? Whereas Midnight does.
Blondie's so calm about it. She's like, come on, man. Just like, yeah, that's all I'm trying to do.
But I also think it's because I raised Midnight. Like, I genuinely see a huge difference in temperament between Midnight and Blondie, so the 2 pups that I actually bred and raised, versus all my other dogs. Like, they are just way more highly tuned in to us, and as far as like working with us as a team and being very in tune with me and working together, they are truthfully, if I had a whole house full of pups that I raised myself, I mean, if you think my dogs are well trained now, you should wait to see what they're like when I raise them from puppies like this. Because I developed such a close bond with them that we become, it's very intuitive. Anyway, but I just wanted to clue you in on that, show you guys what was going on with us and what's going on here, so.
Blondie's so calm.
Yeah.
He's like jabbing her in the eye.
So, I'll talk at you later. We're going to put these pups to sleep. Like, just for the night, obviously. Bye. Say bye.